So in this video, I'll be discussing how often should you consider doing a budget. So firstly, I generally do a budget virtually every month. The reason why is because my income is varies from month to month depending upon the type of overtime that I do. So I generally do a budget virtually every month calculated upon how much hours I work. So to begin with, what I do is I split my income with my expenses, and then that's how I would go through creating a budget. So it's usually your expenses minus your total income. So you would be looking at calculating how much you earn and then minusing your expenses from that. So I generally budget virtually every month. I used to budget with a bit of scrap paper when I first started, and it does seem a bit of a daunting task of starting and doing a budget to begin with. But once you get used to it, it's fairly useful, and it's the only way you're able to track your finances. So I would highly encourage it. There's other ways of actually doing it. You could do it online on a spreadsheet, which I do now. But when I first started, I would just get some scrap paper, quickly note down what my expenses are, what my monthly payments are, to see if I'm on track on whether I need to set further money aside, or whether I could use that additional money for investments, because I wasn't quite sure of how much money I would need to invest. So it would be a matter of firstly calculating your surplus cash that you have in your account, and rather than wasting it on designer clothing or whatever the case may be, a few drinks down the pub or whatever, you could use that to actually get it working. I'm not saying that you should completely scrimp and live completely frugally in terms of, only having one coffee a day or whatever. What I'm saying is that you need to go through your accounts, go through your bank statements, make a list of what your monthly expenditure is, what your regular expenditure is, what your needs are, what your essentials are. So for example, your utility bills, your childcare fees, whatever the case may be, and then go through what the luxuries are, so non-essentials. So for example, on a weekend, going down the pub with the mates, spending an average 50 quid or whatever, playing pool or whatever at a local pub or snooker centre, or going to the cinemas. These are non-essentials, so you could live without it. So it's a matter of going through the full budget, and find out what you could potentially skimp on, what you could save money on. So for example, rather than going to a pub, you could go elsewhere where it's slightly cheaper, or buy a few beers and have them at home, whatever the case may be. Those are just some examples that I've given you. But in terms of how often you should do it, I personally do it every month. It depends on your circumstances really, and how fixed your income is and how fixed your expenditures are. So you could do it every 2-3 months. You could review your budget. I generally do it every month, as I mentioned, because my income varies from month to month. So I generally scrutinize it virtually every month, mainly because of the income that I have. So generally I fix it to the amounts that I invest, but sometimes I invest more because of the overtime that I do. But generally I don't underinvest, if that makes sense. So for example, reducing the amount that I invest every month, mainly because of the fact that I've worked slightly less than what I did previously. No, that's still fixed. It's a matter of increasing it as much as I can every month, and if I can't, then it's just fixed at that level, if that makes sense. So generally invest every single month at a fixed rate, but if I've done overtime, then I increase that figure. Hence why I do a budget virtually every month. But it's entirely up to you of how you want to do it. Generally, they say you should review your budget every 3 to 4 months, but it depends on how much of an impact your budget has taken. So if you've had any changes in your expenses or your income, then you should do it fairly regularly. But I hope you found that useful. If you do, or if you've got a different sort of experience of how often you actually budget, then drop a comment in the below, and we'll have a discussion. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.